Welcome to the EJO4Youth training video of Unit 2, Basic Clearing. The Basic Clearing is an assessment and counseling tool to obtain a holistic overview of a person's life situation, to see where and to what extent there is a need for counseling and to find out the specific needs of a client. For a basic clearing session, you need various materials, around 200 different symbols, a work pad, which we will look at later, and 3 different sticks. One represents solid ground and is made of wood. One represents thick ice, which is represented via white plastic. And the last one represents thin ice, with the stick being made from transparent materials. The work pad is structured with the goal at the center of the pad and being the focus of the basic clearing. The relevant aspects of a person's life are surrounding the goal. Relevant aspects must be adapted to the person's situation. Sometimes the practitioner needs to explain them before they can start working with the pad. The aspects could be, but are not limited to: living means how satisfied am I with my living situation and how stable is it? Support means support from friends, family or professionals. Health means physical and emotional health. Education, what did I learn in school or in training programs? Work and volunteer experience, also including family work. What else means other aspects that might be important for the client's life, etc. For the session, the counselor and client use 6 relevant aspects. The aspect "what else" is always used in the counseling as it covers all aspects that might be missing from the session and are important for the client. The counselor can work with a ready-made work pad which has everything written down on it. The counselor can also choose to work with a flexible work pad that consists of the single materials and additional paper cutouts instead of a full work pad. This allows for more dynamic adaptation during the session. When starting the session, the practitioner presents the idea of the interventions, its materials and counseling steps. The practitioner always focuses on one single client, but the basic clearing also works very well in group settings. If peers are available, maximum 3 of them can establish a supporting group and contributing to all counseling steps, supporting the full guidance process. At the beginning, the client needs to set a goal which will be analyzed during the session. The client uses symbols to represent their goal and puts them in the center of the work pad. Afterwards, the client is tasked with choosing symbols for each aspect shown on the work pad. They can choose one or multiple symbols for each aspect. The following step has to be implemented before the main counseling steps. The client evaluates each aspect by laying the sticks between the goal in the center and the respective aspect, representing solid ground, thick ice or thin ice. This symbolizes the aspect's connection and contribution to the main goal and whether it already attributes to reaching the goal or has to be strengthened in the future. After the basic clearing symbols and sticks have been laid out, the client presents their work to the practitioner. During this phase, the practitioner observes and does not interrupt or ask any questions. Once the presentation is completed, the practitioner can ask factual questions. These factual questions should not include any interpretations, but are clarifying general questions. For example, "What did you say about this symbol?" Or "I did not hear this clearly. Could you please repeat it?" Once all questions are covered, the practitioner shares their perception of the client's work and presentation. These observations can be about body language, pitch of the voice or actions, for example, interacting with a symbol. This step should only include pure observations, for example, "You touched this symbol when you explained this," and should not include interpretations, for example, When you explain this, you touch this symbol, which might mean it is more important to you than the others. After the perceptions are shared, the practitioner moves on to the interpretation. During this step, the practitioner and the supporting group share their interpretations on the client's work and presentation as if talking to themselves. The client is just listening, not interrupting or explaining anything during this step. Only afterwards, once the practitioner and supporting group is done, the client shares their agreement or disagreement with the interpretation and also if there is something that surprised them or if they realized about themselves. As a last step, the practitioner and client discuss the symbols and interpretation and should come to an agreement on the further actions to be done to achieve the goal. This is done with the help of an action plan. Specific steps and actions will be identified and followed up on in the coming weeks.